Welcome in, Vol fans. I'm Miles Collins, joined by Cody McClure. We are Rock Solid Sports, and this is our preview for the UT and Florida game coming up this Saturday. Cody, a lot happened last week in the Western Carolina game. There was a lot of talk going into that game about what Tennessee could do to right the train. That kind of got side-run a little bit in the Oklahoma matchup. What were a few key elements you took away from the Western Carolina game?
Just the way that Tennessee bounced back, Miles. Really, I mean, the fact that they came out, Josh Dobbs looked pretty good. Jalen Hurd ran all over Western Carolina. I mean, Preston Williams, how about him coming in for 2 touchdowns? He got the first touchdown of the game and the last touchdown of the game. Defense was stifling most of the game. Second or third team gave up a touchdown late. But just for Tennessee to bounce back like that, even though it was against an FCS opponent, to win 55-10 going into this Florida game, I thought it was huge.
Yeah, and I mean, like you mentioned, Preston Williams was a guy that stood out to me. I mean, here's a guy that came in, scored a couple touchdowns, 98 receiving yards, I believe. And like you said, even though it's a Western Carolina team, you still like to take some positives away from that, seeing the Tennessee offense got it going again. And that's the Tennessee offense they generally should be in every game when they get all wheels rolling. And it was a little disappointing in that Oklahoma game to see them stall the way they did, but it was promising this week to see this Tennessee team get it back together. And going into Florida, I look for this Tennessee offense to keep clicking and get things going. So talking about this Florida game coming up, what are, I guess, a few players on Tennessee's side that you're looking for this week in Florida to make an impact in that game?
You know, I say it every week, but I'm looking at the quarterback, Josh Dobbs. How does he perform against a Florida defense who just played Kentucky and didn't allow a touchdown? Patrick Tolles is a pretty good quarterback in Lexington, and the Wildcats moved the ball, couldn't even get in the end zone. I don't know if Florida's defense is as good as it's been in the past, but I'm looking to see how Josh Dobbs throws the ball, and if he has a lot of time to throw it, Tennessee's offensive line will be a key against a very good Florida front seven. And remember, Dobbs on the outside, when he's looking for receivers, he's going to have Vernon Hargraves to deal with.
Yeah, so for me in this game, I'm looking for the Tennessee offense in general, but you got to get the run game going again in that swamp because that place is going to be crazy. I mean, you've heard about it here in Knoxville. It's Gator Hater Week, and you know, a little bit of jabs thrown out by Florida with them showing their stadium layout, telling everyone what color to wear in what section, all blue. So yeah, these teams obviously don't like each other. I mean, there's a lot of history here. Tennessee hasn't beat Florida in 10 years. For me, though, I think this might be the year Tennessee can finally step over that and get it done. They've got all the talent needed. Florida with a new head coach, bringing in a redshirt freshman at quarterback and Will Greer. I'm looking for Tennessee to get the ball rolling, running the ball, but that offense, I feel like they're going to carry over that momentum they got from Western Carolina and score some points.
And another thing to remember, Miles, is you talked about running the ball. Typically, over the last 20 years, the team with the most rushing yards wins this game.
Yeah, and this year, Tennessee looks like they've got the running backs to do that. No knock at Florida and their running backs and their offense, but putting up only 14 points last week against Kentucky, I don't know. But with Tennessee, yeah, you've got a consistent Jalen Hurd who's been putting up over, just under 5 yards a rush, I believe now. And Alvin Kamara, touched the ball only 7 times last week. I think you've got to get the ball in Alvin Kamara's hands a few more times this week. Give him some opportunities in open space, and Tennessee's offense could be pretty good this week against a Florida defense like you. I'm not sure. I really don't know. I don't know if the sample size is big enough yet, but I'm a little on the fence about it. Speaking of one more big game this week, you've got Utah and Oregon coming up. It's in Oregon. You've got 18th ranked Utah coming in, 3-0, a 2-1 Oregon team that took a hard loss to Michigan State. What are you looking for in that game?
This is an interesting matchup. I think it's probably the biggest game of the weekend in college football. A couple of you could argue top 15 teams, top 20 teams. Utah is a pretty good football team out of the Pac-12 South. They play a difficult schedule. They've got a nice win over Michigan in week 1. Obviously, Oregon went down to Michigan State. I'm going to take Utah in the upset over this one. I think this is Oregon's not first big test. Their first test was Michigan State, and they lost. But I think this is their second big test of the year. Tough conference game to start things off with. I'm taking Utah in the upset in this game. I think it's going to be high scoring, 52-48 Utah.
Okay, for me, in this game, you still got little questions about Vernon Adams for Oregon. Is he 100% yet? You don't know if that broken finger he's had. So that could play a big role in this game because you need him. You're going to need him as much as anyone else in the Oregon offense to get it going. Because Utah can put up points. Oregon's going to have to score a lot of points in this game to win. I look for an explosive, high-powered offense battle in this matchup. And, this could be the second time that Vernon Adams has someone give him a runner-up for his Heisman hopefuls in Devontae Booker for Utah. Guy averaging, over 110 yards per game rushing. So I'm looking for a big offensive game, but I think I'm going to go with the home field advantage and take Oregon in this one, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 41-38. So
interesting.
Wrapping up that game, let's get to the prediction of the UT Florida game. So everybody wants to hear. It's been 10 years since Tennessee has beat Florida. Is this the year they do it?
No, and the reason is because I don't think that Tennessee is ready to get over that hump yet. You saw them squander a 17-point lead in the Oklahoma game. Florida has looked good to me the past 2 weeks. I know they struggled a little against East Carolina and Kentucky, but I think Kentucky is an improved team. I just don't think this Tennessee team, nobody wants to hear it, but they're still young. I don't think they're ready to go on the road and beat Florida. I joked around earlier this week and said Florida will win this game 8-2 because Tennessee's going to get a safety on the first play. It's going to be 2-0, and then the center's going to snap it over Dobbs' head late in the game. That'll go to overtime, tied at 2. Dobbs throws a pick 6 to Hargraves. Florida returns it. That's all a joke. Realistically, I do like the Gators. 34-31 in the Swamp.
For me, since this summer we've been talking about this game, I'm sticking with my gut. I'm sticking with Tennessee in this game. I know it's been 10 years. I get it. This team has all the pieces needed to get this job done. They finally, I think, they've got enough to do it. They just have to put it all together. You saw an offense struggle in Oklahoma. You saw a defense struggle the week before against Bowling Green. I think they find a way to put it all together. This is definitely going to be a huge test for this team going forward this year. And if Tennessee can come out with a victory, it's going to give them a lot of momentum going forward. And I think the winner of this team, the winner of this game is going to be the team that'll give Georgia the most competition in the East. But I'm looking for Tennessee to come out and squeak out a win somehow in the Swamp. I've got them somewhere around 31-21.
It's a huge game for momentum.
It definitely is. Till next week, guys, I'm Miles Collins. This is Cody McClure. We are Rock Solid Sports.